1.4 is subtracting real numbers. We're going to be using the same handout. The second part of it right here explains how to do subtraction. Okay. It says change subtraction to addition and change the sign behind it that follows it, okay? Then use your addition rules above. Let me show you what that means. That's just a bunch of words unless you know what it means. Okay. So the first example right here, make it a little bit smaller so we can see the rules and what I'm doing. This one right here, -7 minus -1. It says change subtraction to addition. Okay, so this subtract a -1, change subtraction to addition, and change the sign behind it. Change the sign that follows it. Right there. Then use the addition rules above. Now you have a -7 plus a +1. So you're going to use the rule of a negative and positive. Sign the larger subtract. So -7 minus 1 is 6. You'll be able to look at these examples. So I'm going to give you this handout. Okay, the next one right here, you have a 6 minus, oops, put the parentheses in the wrong place, sorry. 6 minus -2. The parentheses are just separating these signs. Doesn't mean multiply. We're changing the subtraction to addition and changing the sign that follows it. Now we have a 6 plus +2 is 8. The next one, we're going to change subtraction to addition. So let me just write it a little farther apart here. Change subtraction to addition and change the sign that follows it. So this will be a negative now. So if it says -5 minus something, that means it's adding a negative. If you'd like to put parentheses to separate that signs, that's what it has here. That's what you normally do. Okay, so now you have a negative plus a negative. Using the same rules as before, negative plus a negative is negative and add them. So you keep the negative, add the 4 and 5 is 9. One more example is a positive number. I'll do a different one than on the paper. Positive number minus another number. Okay, writing it separated farther apart so I can change the subtraction to addition and change the sign that follows it. So now we have a +4, -8. Sign of the larger and subtract. Okay? So if you see two negatives together, this one started out like that. Two negatives together, change them both to positive. Some people, when they see this, I've seen this done, some people just put these two negatives together and make it a positive like that. And that's fine. You can write it like that if you'd like. Okay? So now let's start. Look at the homework section. And make sure you understand all the homework on it. Let's say we have a -6 minus -5. What are we going to do to that? Change it to +5, plus +5. You can make it 1 plus, or you can do it like this. Either way, you have a -6 and a +5. What's the answer?
-1.
-1. Sign the larger subtract. Okay, how about this one? 15 minus 21. What is that going to turn into? Plus negative 21, right? You don't have to rewrite it. If you'd like to do it right here, from minus 21, you could just put like this. You can say plus negative right there. Write the problem down from the minus, turn it into plus negative. Okay, what's this answer going to be? Negative, because this is bigger. Subtract. Okay, everybody getting that? Okay. How about 25 minus negative 4? Turn it into plus positive, or one big plus, right? So 25 plus 4, 29, right? Is that enough examples of whole numbers? I'm going to show you some fractions now. Same rules. Just keeping you freshened up on fractions here. Okay, let's do 1 with the common denominator and then we'll change it. Let's do 4/9 minus 7/9. Okay, this is going to be changing from minus, subtraction, to adding a negative. Since you have a common denominator, that'll be your denominator. Now do this like we've been doing the rest. The 4 plus negative 7 is what?
-3.
Negative 3. On fractions, see if you can reduce. These will divide by 3, so reduce it. Divide the top and bottom by 3. Answer still negative. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, let's do one where you don't have a common denominator. Let's say negative 3/8 minus 3/4. Okay? Let's change that to addition. Instead of subtract this, we'll say plus a negative, right? Okay, now we still need to get a common denominator. Use those fraction rules. What is the common denominator of 8 and 4?
8.
8. Okay, this is a negative, and this is a negative. Let's find out what the numbers are. This is the same, so of course the top will be the same. 4 times 1 is 8. 2, so 3 times 2. So this one will be 6. Negative 3 and a negative 6 gives us our top number. Bottom, of course, denominator stays 8. So negative 3 plus a negative 6 is what?
-9.
Negative 9. And what would I normally do to that?
Turn it to 1 and 1/8.
Right. Turn it to a mixed number instead of leaving it improper. Even though the back of the book might leave it like that, I would do that myself. Okay? So, same thing as far as getting these common multiple. You want to do a harder one?
Yes.
Harder denominator? Okay. We could do 21 and 14 again, but let's do something different. Let's do, how about this one? A 35 on bottom, and let's do 50. Make it 7. Okay. Okay, first of all, let's get rid of this minus negative thing. Turn it to plus or positive. We don't have subtraction anymore. Turn it to addition. Now we do it just like we do addition. Common denominator. Okay, let's do, what's the prime factorization of 35? 5 times 7, right? Can't break it down any farther. 50 is 2 times 25, but 25 is not prime. Remember, you could do repeated division to get prime factorization. 50 divided by 2 is 25. 25 divided by 5 is 5. There's your prime factorization of 50. 1, 2, 2 5s. Okay, now, what's the most 2s we have? 1 and none, most is 1, right? What's the most 5s? 1 and 2, so we're going to do 2 of those. 7, just 1. Okay, so we have 10 times 35. What's 10 times 35? 350. So that's our common denominator, 350. I like leaving this here so I can see what to multiply these by though. Okay, so this one is still negative. Denominator is 350. That means we multiply it by 10, right? 35 times 10. So the top is now 1 times 10 is 10. We're adding a positive. Common denominator is 350. What do we multiply 50 by? 50 is this part right here, 255, right? 50 is multiplied by 7. So times 7, times 7. Our top number is 49. So we have the common denominator of 350. The top we have a negative 10 plus 49. Positive and negative, what's your answer here?
39.
39. You have to subtract them and keep signing larger. That may reduce. I see this divides by 3, but 5, 6, 7, 8, that won't divide by 3. I don't think it will. This divide is 3 times 13. I don't think 13 will go into that either, so we're done.
On the 2 times 5 times 5,
Uh-huh.
I thought you were only supposed to use 1 5.
You use the most. Like, you mean the 50 prime factoring it?
Yeah.
You have to be able to multiply it back and get 50. If you only use 1 5, you're only going to have 10. You have to use every number, even the top one. Yeah, once you prime factor it, if you have a bunch of factors out here, if you want to make sure you did it right, multiply this back on the calculator and make sure that you have this number. Make sure that really is the prime factorization. Let's do another one without a common denominator, so we can practice this part again, okay? Yeah, let me pick another one. I'm just going to have to make one up. Okay. Why don't you pick 2 bottom numbers? Pick a bottom number, Rick.
15,
15 and another one.
48.
Okay, those are good ones. We'll say negative 7/15 minus 3/48. How's that? So to find our common denominator, well, first let's change it from subtraction. This subtraction, this is changed to adding the opposite. So we have a negative plus a negative. Don't add them yet though. Let's get our common denominator, or our least common multiple. Sometimes they call it least common denominator, whatever. We're gonna get that common multiple of those 2 numbers. 15 is what? Prime factorization. 3 times 5. This one's a little harder, let's divide it. Don't divide by 16 or something that's not prime. You gotta divide by a prime number when you repeat the division. So let's start with 2. It divides by 2. 24. That divides by 2 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And you could divide by 3 if you want, but I just kept dividing by 2. It doesn't matter which order you divide by, you should still get those same numbers. End up with 4 2s and a 3. Now if you get your calculator out and multiply that right there, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, you should get 48. So there's 4 2s and a 3. Our least common multiple, or least common denominator, what's the most 2s there? The most 2s is 4 of them. The most 3s, you have 1 and 1. You only have to put one of them, because that's the most in this row and the most in that row. And a 5. So this is 48 times 5. So what is 48 times 5? 240? Anybody multiply it out? Yes? Okay. So 240 is our common denominator. This one's negative plus a negative. Make sure you have your signs on there. Okay, 15 is multiplied by what to get 240? Here's 15. So if you multiply 2 times itself 4 times, you get 16. Okay, so that was 15 is multiplied by 16. 7 times 16, I don't know in my head. 112? Okay. 48 is multiplied by what? So 48 is this part of it right here. 4 2s and a 3. So 48 must be multiplied by 5. 48 times 5. So the top times 5 is 15. Okay, so we have the common denominator 240. We have negative 112 plus a negative 15. So what is our top? Negative plus a negative, you keep the negative, add the numbers. 127. I don't know if that'll reduce. I don't think this divides by 3, that doesn't. Okay. That's the answer unless it reduces. Enough of those? You can always look back at the video and practice watching it a little bit at a time. Let's do some where you're doing a long string of adding and subtracting. Okay? We're going to do the same rule of grouping them, but we're going to change it all to addition first. So let's get a long string of numbers here. Let's do number 87. It says negative 93 minus negative 84 minus 41 minus negative 56. Before we even start figuring out what's positive and negative, let's change everything into addition. This is okay like it is. This says subtract a negative. So what do we do with that? Adding a positive. We make one big plus or change both signs. Either way, this is a positive here. It was minus negative, now it's a positive. If you see just one minus, adding a negative. Here's 2. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. Now we can tell which numbers are positive and which numbers are negative. These two numbers are positive. These two numbers are negative. So add your two positive numbers, 84 and 56 is 140. And then we're going to add this negative. 93 and 41 is 134. So is our answer going to be positive or negative? Positive, then we have to subtract. It'll be a positive what? 6. Okay? So it's the same rule you used on addition, you just have to change it to addition first. Looking at your homework, do you see any questions? You have to do 91 or 92 with all those fractions? Is that on your list? 93, that's a word problem, that's different. Okay. No questions on homework? Don't forget on your skills maintenance is the order of operations.
PEMDAS or whatever?
Yep, let's do one of those so that your skills maintenance, make sure you remember the PEMDAS. Please, the parentheses, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, exponents and square roots. Multiplies and divides are from left to right. It's not all the multiplies then the divides. Remember, it's left to right. And then add and subtract from left to right. Okay? Don't forget the order.
What's P and E again?
The P is parentheses. E is your exponent, or square roots. So first get rid of your parentheses, and then take quick care of like squares and square roots, or whatever powers there are. And then go from left to right doing multiply and divide. Then go left to right doing add and subtract. Okay, let's see. There's one with the parentheses. I'll do one like, this one isn't 104, but this one is going to be like number 104. Okay, let's do 4 times 6 plus 6 times 3 squared. Okay, what's the first thing you take care of? In the parentheses. 6 times 3? 18. Okay, that's what's going to be squared. You can leave it out of the parentheses now. Now that we've done parentheses, do your exponents or square roots. Here's an exponent. What is 18 times 18?
36.
No, 18 times 18, not times 2.
324.
324? Okay. Now that you've done exponents, then you're going to do multiplying and dividing from left to right. There's only one multiplier divide, so let's do that. What is 24? So 24 plus 324 is 348. You do one more of those with a little bit more stuff in it?
Yeah.
Let's do one more. Okay, got that written down? Alright, let's do 12 divided by 4 times 6 divided by 2 minus 5 minus 2 squared. That way you've got a little bit of everything mixed in there. Oh, you know what, let's go ahead and do plus something, because we have a minus and then we'll have a plus 2. Plus 1 plus 2 to the third power. Now we have a little bit of everything. What do we do first? Parentheses. So let's take care of those parentheses. Get that out of there first. So we have 12 divided by 4 times 6 divided by 2 minus. What's 5 minus 2?
3.
3. That's going to be squared. Plus 1 plus 2, 3 to the third power. Now what do you do next?
Exponents.
Exponents. So we're going to do these two things. What is 3 squared? Not 6.
9.
3 times 3, that's 9. Leave that minus in front of it. This will be 3 times 3 times 3.
27.
7. Okay. Now let's write these down. What's the next thing you do after the exponents?
Multiply.
I thought it was 2. We're doing 3 sections. This is the second one. Okay, so we're going to multiply and divide from left to right. That doesn't mean multiply first, does it? They have the same power. This division is the first thing that you see there. Go ahead and do that one first. 12 divided by 4, 3. Rewrite this. Okay? Don't ever add this stuff together, okay? You'll have the wrong number. You gotta go left to right on multiply, divide, and add, subtract. 3 times 6, 18. And now, 18 divided by 2, 9. Adding and subtracting is left to right. You don't add this and then subtract later. Okay? You're going to add, they have the same power, just like multiply and divide has the same power. The subtract came first, so you're going to do it first. 9 minus 9, 0. Plus 27 is 27. If you do it in a different order, you're going to come out with a different answer. So make sure you use the order of operations when you're doing the skills maintenance problems. Okay? Any questions over 1.4? Okay. The mid-chapter review comes next in the book, but that's not part of your homework. For the lecture classes, the mid-chapter review is actually extra credit on your test.
How much extra credit is it?
If you do every single one of the ones that are listed, for the mid-chapter review and the practice test, it's 10. Just like on your homework, if you do all of them, it's 10. If you do all of those, both of those, then it's 10. Okay?